Very good morning, everyone. Sorry for getting late by 5 minutes. I woke up late today. Extremely sorry. Okay. So let us get started. A little heavy class today. So please, first suggestion would be please scribble. Please do not sit and watch a movie. That won't help. And second thing is, if you have any doubt at any point of time, please feel free to stop me. We are going to learn probably the toughest concept, but I'm sure things will fall in place quickly. Okay. Good morning, everyone. So let's start. Yeah, sorry. Okay. So this is what we have studied so far. Essentially, we now know about two types of extractions, which are the single stage extractor and the multi-stage cross current extractor. Today, what we are going to learn, let me straight away go to the topic. The class is unusually silent. Nobody wished me back, which is not a great sign. Continuous counter current multi-stage extraction. Yeah, thank you, Anik, for at least confirming that all of you are on board. Okay, so we studied cross flow. That's a unique configuration possible for extraction units. Here what we are going to study is the regular counter current flow. Okay, so how does the flow sheet look like? So essentially, this is how it looks like. Right, and so this is the first stage. It will take a few minutes to understand what is going on. Just allow yourself the time and give me the time and you will understand it. I'm drawing it right in front of your eyes so that you all understand what it is. So this is the first stage. This is the second stage. This is any general nth stage. And this is NP, or the last stage. So what happens? What is happening? So what happens here? The feed enters the first phase, first stage. Right? And the solvent enters the last stage and they flow in a counter current direction. So what is this? The final product is actually the extract that comes out from the first stage itself. So this is the product. It's E1 and composition is Y1. And where do you get the final raffinate? So this is the final raffinate. And therefore, what will be the identifiers of these streams? This is the raffinate 1 coming out from the first stage. This is stage 2. So this is raffinate 2 coming from the second stage. Don't know why this is behaving in an erratic way today. So this is the nth stage. So, okay, let us try to have the identifications here. So this is the extract coming from the second stage. And obviously, stage 2 will be receiving the extract that is coming from the third stage. Now, let us try to find out what will be the naming conventions of these streams. This is the extract that is coming out from the npth stage. So this will be ENP and YNP. And what about this one? See, the second stage receives R1, so it's 1 less. So this stream is RNP minus 1, XNP minus 1. Okay. And what about the nth stage? You see, for second stage, the outlet streams are R2 and X2. So this is Rn and Xn. This is the raffinate coming out from the nth stage. This is the extract coming out from the nth stage. And this receives extract from the n plus first stage. And it receives raffinate from the n minus first stage. Is this figure clear to everyone? So here we have a break. And here we have a break. Is the figure clear to everyone and the naming conventions, the notations? Is it clear to everyone? Abhishek Purohit, Adarsh Kumar, Aditya Agarwal, Aditya Jha. Is the notation clear to everyone? I called a few names. Where are those guys? When I call somebody's name while others are responding, that's perfectly fine. But that person, that boy or girl should respond. If it is not clear to you, tell it's not clear to me. I'm sorry, but this class is not responding to my liking. So I have to go probably a little bit, become a little strict. Okay, so this is the typical flow sheet of a counter current multi-stage extraction unit. What is important to note, feed enters the first stage. And the extract is drawn from the stage 1. And solvent introduced and raffinate withdrawn last stage. One can show that it is known for a given degree of separation, this configuration requires fewer steps for a given amount of solvent. Or less solvent for given number of stages. Okay, now that's something, it's okay. It's there, fine. We are going to learn how to graphically solve such a problem. So I'd like to retain the flow sheet for a while. So let us write down and add one more thing from the operational standpoint that you need to know, that for a single stage extraction, right? And for a cross flow feed, what are the entities you specify? What are the entities you specify for a single stage extraction and a cross flow feed? For a single stage extraction, what stuff do we specify? For a single stage extraction problem, what are the stuff we specify? Anyone? Samira? Yes, perfect. XF, Adrija, one correction. I spent some time with you. YS. Perfect. So essentially you specify the solvent flow rate, the feed flow rate, XF, the feed composition, and YS. Okay. What do you specify for this multi-stage cross-current extractor? You essentially, on the feed side, you specify the same. On the solvent side, you actually have to specify the solvent flow rate in each of the stage. Ideally, YS is same because you are going to use the same solvent, ideally. However, please remember that for solving a countercurrent multi-stage extraction, of course, your F, XF, S, YS has to be specified. In addition to that, you either have to specify, please remember this, additionally, you will soon realize that either specify YE or XNP or NP. Any one of this has to be specified. I think NP won't work, sorry. YE or XNP has to be specified. Yeah, YE or XNP has to be specified. There is a reason for that, which we will see. Now, let us do the overall balance now. So overall balance is usual. F plus S is equal to M is equal to E1 plus RNP. Here M is more interesting because this M does not exist anywhere. In the previous case, for the single stage extractor, the M at least corresponded to the total amount of mass that enters the extractor. But you will soon realize that this M does not exist anywhere. Okay. And if you do a C balance, so what do you have? FXF plus SYS is equal to MXM is equal to E1 Y1 plus RNP XNP. This should be clear to everyone, right? Now we write this equation, I'm not even asking if you have any doubt or whatever. We are writing this equation in a slightly different form. We are writing this as Rnp minus S is equal to F minus E1. We can write this in the form of a difference. This is an approach. What it means mathematically, we will try to see what it means. So this overall balance, we are writing as Rnp minus F is equal to F minus E1. This is okay with everyone? Right? Now, let us try to write a balance for this part of the system. So if that be the case, stages n to np, and what is the balance? What we have, Rn minus 1 plus S, and let us mark this term to be some delta. This delta is very, very crucial. You will soon understand that. So here we can write Rn minus 1 plus S is equal to Rnp plus En. Right? This I am sure all of you can understand. So from here also we get Rnp minus S is equal to Rn minus 1 minus En, which is equal to, so you see Rn minus 1, this will apparently look a little cumbersome for a while, don't worry, things will fall in place, which is equal to Rnp minus S. Therefore, again, what we can write is Rn minus 1 minus En is equal to delta. Check for a minute if it is making sense to you. So this way, for every stage, I just like to finish it in this slide. For every stage, let's say you are now at the second stage, you can actually write what are the entry to the second stage, R1 minus E2 equal to delta. Take a minute and tell me, is it clear to all of you? Is it clear to all? Is it clear? Let me repeat, suo moto. This equation is clear to all? All of you, before you commit, yes, sir, please understand this concept very critically. And see, since only 2 people have responded, yes, Odrija and Varun, I am requesting the class to kindly come out of your shell. If anybody wants me to repeat, there is nothing to be ashamed. It seems you have forgotten the CPC days where this class was extremely honest at least. If you had any difficulty, please tell me, I will repeat. This is one of the toughest concepts I am teaching today. The other one will be the concept of practical equilibrium in leaching. Everybody else has understood? Okay, I will check that. So I will repeat. So this equation is clear to everyone? Only the usual suspects are responding and saying yes, sir. But the others need to come out of their shell. Okay. So let me check. Rushi, clear? Vivek, Surekha, Vatsal, Utkarsh, Tridipta, Tanmay, Sukta Prasad Murmu, Somil, Shivoy, Shivam Raj, Shikha, Sanskar, Sajid, Sahil, Tanay Gaurav, Rishav Kumar, Tejas, Padamsri. Clear to everyone? Okay. So let me repeat once more. So this balance everybody understands. There should not be any problem. So this balance we are now writing in a specific form. And what is that form? It's RNP minus S. What exactly is RNP minus S? RNP minus S is the deficit or the difference, right? Difference towards the right side of the last stage. Or in other words, whatever is entering the last stage and whatever is coming out from the last stage. That is the physical significance of RNP minus S. That's not the total flow, but a very unique way of looking at it. It's the differencing flow. Similarly, this is equal to RNP minus S is equal to F minus E1, which is again the difference in the net flow. So both of this or this point delta essentially represents difference in net flow across a stage. This is clear to all? And since it's a continuous process, there is no accumulation. So this difference across any cell or any stage is going to be constant. And that's exactly what this equation shows you, that Rn minus 1 minus En, sorry, the slide is becoming a little cumbersome. What it shows is that Rn minus 1 minus En is again equal to Rnp minus S, which is equal to delta. Is this clear now to everyone? Those of you even mechanically wrote yes sir to me. So what we can write is that for the overall unit, we can write Rnp minus S is equal to F minus E1 is equal to delta. But similarly, for any nth stage, for part of the unit from any nth stage to the end, what we can write is RNP, or let me write it in this form. So any nth stage, what is going to be the entry? Any nth stage, the entry is going to be Rn minus 1. What is leaving that nth stage is En. Now this we can show is equal to Rnp minus S is equal to delta. I hope now it is clear to all. Delta R. They write it delta R. It's fine, you can write delta also. So I'll just follow the standard pedagogy, delta R. Right? Okay. Is it clear to all? Now, if it is clear to all, I need even more space. So it's Rn minus. Now comes the real fun. Real fun. Okay. Okay. Just 1 second, please. Okay. Now, what are the things given? Given are F, XF, S, YS, and XNP. These are given. Okay. So on the graph, we can start locating. Let's say this is our point YS. Use a bright color. Let's say this is our point F, and this is XF, right? So from the balance, what we have is FXF plus SYS is equal to MXM. So M is known, all these are known, therefore we can determine XM, right? So if we can determine XM, it lies, let's say, somewhere over here. Now, can anybody say what should we do? And this MXM is also equal to E1 Y1 plus RNP XNP equal to MXM. So I guess this class now knows that if you had a single stage, right, cross flow is equivalent to a single stage, you would have simply drawn a tie line, right? Why? Because the balance for a single stage was E1 Y1 plus R1 X1 is equal to MXM. So whatever was the outputs, or this XM was essentially comprising of two compositions which are in equilibrium. However, here M represents, or XM essentially splits up into two compositions, or comprises of two compositions, Y1 and XNP. And if you look here, Y1 and XNP are not in equilibrium, right? Therefore, drawing a tie line through M is not going to help. Is this clear? Rider here is, or point to note, Y1 and XNP are not in equilibrium. This is clear to all? Everybody understands? I haven't told what to do, but everybody understands this? That critical thing to observe here is Y1 and XNP are not in equilibrium. However, there is an advantage. And that is the reason I told you will understand why it needs to be specified. Therefore, XNP needs to be specified. Otherwise, you cannot draw the E1 RNP line from the graph. However, for your advantage, you see XNP is specified. XNP is specified. So I will just change the location of this M just for the advantage of the drawing, nothing else. Right? So XNP is specified. The scanning I did yesterday, some texture has got added. It's not looking good. Okay. So now what we can do, since XNP is specified, M is known. So Samira, what next? We can join these 2 points, XNP and M, and extend it to get E. Is this clear to all? Is it clear to all what we do or how we get E1? Now, if you look carefully, I'll come back. If you look carefully, what I have written here, YE or XNP has to be specified. So the problem I looked into, XNP was known, XM is known, join them to get YE1. Similarly, one can also have a situation where M is known, YE1 is known, you join E1M, extend it wherever it intersects, you get RNP. Is this clear? And let me again tell all of you, not the easiest thing that we are doing. Is it clear to all? Adrija, is it clear? Padamsi, is it clear? Okay, good. If it is clear, fine. What next? Any guess? What next? So we have located all the points. The catch here is the tie line passing through M does not provide any information, right? But whatever. Now, what does, or probably you have never come across such a system. So let me tell you what we do. Now, if you see this difference equation, it talks about RNP, S, E1, and F, right? Okay. So can you look at these points over here? See, here is our RNP, here is S, here is E1, here is F. What this type of a difference equation mathematically means is that if you join, listen to me very carefully, then we will see what it means. What it means is if you join E1 and F and extend it, this is more of a convention, and extend it, and you also join S and RNP and extend it. My drawing turned out to be amazing, therefore I drew only up to that point and extend it. So I am again repeating, not the most obvious concept. So what we do, we join E1 and F and extend. Next we join S and RNP and extend. Right? Where these two extended lines meets, that is called the difference point or delta R. This is how, and of course you have to locate it on your sheet. So the standard trick is that when you are solving a problem, right, for this type of a system, you keep your graph towards the right side so that these two lines are extended and they meet at delta. So this is the way a difference point, so delta R is called the difference point. And this is how it is located on a graph paper. I would request all of you to kindly go through Treble today once to get this concept clear. Only listening to my lectures is not going to be adequate. But at least mechanically, is it clear to all of you what we are doing? So let me just repeat. We first locate S, right? We locate F. We join S and F. This is also the point S and F. Now from the C component balance, we calculate XM. Therefore, we locate the point M, right? We locate the point M. Now we locate XNP on the graph paper. Therefore, this is essentially the point RNP. We now join RNP and M because we know that these actually give the equation of a straight line. So these 3 points lie on a single straight line. So now you join RNP and M to get E. So up to here should be clear to everyone. And then what we do, once all these 4 points are known to us, we interpret the difference equation as or difference point as a point that since RNP minus S is equal to F minus E1 is equal to delta R, right? Therefore, a line, if we join between RNP or S and RNP, if we join and extend, and E and F, S and RNP, and E and F, if we join, wherever that line intersects, those two lines intersects, that is the difference point or the delta R. Is this clear to all? Okay. Yash Jain, is it clear? Aman Kedia, Shikha, Shivoy, Siddhant, Achal Kumar, Akshay Agarwal, Onik, Vadri Vishal, Chavi, Jay, Lalit, Mayank, Muskan, Nidhi, Palak, Pranit, Poulomi, Rahul Goldar, Ronak Agarwal, okay, wonderful. If you are understanding, I have no complaint. Now, can I ask the class? It is outside the graph. We do not measure. We just locate, show me. Good that you are asking. Your friends are not behaving in the best possible way. There are lots of doubts. That is the reason I am telling you, you please need to, you are requested to go through Treble's book, right? Today, how this is done. So typically, it's a very good logistic question you have asked. You are going to have this graph somewhere. Either you have drawn this graph on a graph paper or somewhere, right? And simply like this, like what is written here, you see, you have to take these lines outside the graph. It is going to be on a single sheet of paper, and the point delta R you cannot measure. There is no mathematical significance. Delta R only has a physical significance. And that is how this technique works. So you have doubt, show me. Kindly refer to Treble's book or any standard textbook today. But yes, you have a graph paper. Please do understand. This is again a very, very logistic question. You have a graph paper, but the graph paper is drawn on a sheet, right? So there is additional space on the sheet. It's not that you are drawing a graph and therefore this is in fact a very unique problem that you are drawing a graph which is outside the active area of the graph paper. That is your concern, right, Shovi? But unfortunately or fortunately, that is how it goes. So you will have a graph, triangular plot somewhere in your sheet of paper, right? Take a minute to explain, because when I was a student, I had exactly this type of similar doubt. So this is your exam sheet maybe. You have drawn your graph paper over here, right? And what you are going to draw is something like this to get delta R. It is like this only. Professor Pathak, I'm in a class till 11. After that, I'll call back. Okay, show me. It is like that. Shomik, is it clear? There is every reason for you to raise objection, right? So just imagine this is your exam or your notebook sheet. You have drawn your triangular plot somewhere over here, right? And then this is your equilibrium plot, X, E1, RNP, S, sub mila. You extend it and get it here. One thing you missed out when I was telling, so you have to be a little bit careful while solving this type of a problem, because if you start with your graph very close, right, to the left margin, then, well, unfortunately, it goes out. It's a logistic issue. So many times what I suggest is, if you are using an A4 sheet, and I mean, this triangular plot often we make because it is not available. If you are using an A4 sheet, it is actually better to use it in a landscape mode for better results. And this is your delta R point, right? Is it clear, Shobi? And clear to everyone? Nobody asked me this question that, sir, you are telling something, drawing a point which is outside the graph paper. So Shoumik at least is following. I'm a little disappointed with this class because, I mean, it is not that easy. There are so many abnormal things in this whole approach. And one of the things one of your friends has correctly pointed out, you are now suddenly saying that you are locating a point which is outside the main graph. That's exactly what we are doing, right? But yes, that is how it goes. So please remember this mathematically, as Shoumik's question said, I cannot measure delta. Yes, you cannot measure delta. It's more like an identifier point which has a physical meaning only, nothing else. Clear to everyone? Odrija, is it clear? Samira, clear? Jyotiraditya, are you there? Is it clear? Okay. Anything else you can do at this point of time? Let me ask a question to all of you. Can you now locate R1 on this graph? What is R1? Okay, I should have had, I mean, had it been a classroom, we would have easily had everything together in a single slide. So this difference equation, in fact, involves y1 or e1 f at this end and rnp and s at the other end. E1 and f at one end, rnp and s at the other end. Right? Now my question is, so E1 is known. Can the class locate the point R1 now? What is R1? R1 is the raffinate that is coming out of the first stage. Odrija, can you locate? Can you locate the point R1? Varun? Praneeth? Samira? Shayon? Can you locate the point R1? No, Odrija. No. You do not need to draw anything from M to get R1. Please do not forget that R1 and E1 are in equilibrium, or Y1 and X1 are in equilibrium. So when you give this answer, you have got a little carried away with this construction. No, it is not. Because blue line is drawn by joining E1 and F. Sahil, good attempt, but not. But what you are, all of you are missing out, that whatever we are doing, there will be, no, we do not know E2 also, Shayon. There will be a tie line passing through E1, right? There has to be. So this E1F is a line you have drawn, tie line from Y1. Perfect. There. So locate that tie line that is passing through E1. Let's say this is a tie line that is passing through E1. This is a tie line that is passing through E1. Not the best color. This is a tie line that is passing through E1. E1 and R1 are in equilibrium, right? So what do we get now? That the tie line, so this is a tie line through E1. Is it clear to all? This is cumbersome, and kindly study today. So what is this point? This point is R1? Yes or no? Samira, clear? Odrija, clear? Rishi Yaravar, are you there? Tejas? Padamsi? Nidhi? Chavi? Aditi? Bhavna? If you have understood this, can we now get E2? We will try to make it, oh God, one hour gone. Anyway, we will try to make it as simple as possible. Can we now locate E2? Anyone? There is no one who is elite in this class. Anyone? Can we now locate E2? And the clue lies right here. Draw delta R x1 line. Draw a line from delta through R1. Very good, both of you. The clue lies right here. Delta R1, delta R and x1. Great. Very, very good. Here lies the clue. Just the way a line joining F and E1 passes through delta R, similarly a line joining R1 and E2 also passes through delta R, isn't it? So now if you join, right, or draw a line from delta R to R1 and then extend it all the way, wherever it intersects is going to be our E2. Is it clear? So this we got by joining delta R, R1. Clear to everyone? Shayan Maiti, clear? Samira Yasmin, clear? Shoumik, clear now? Yeah, I was just calling your name. Why can't you draw a tie line, Onik? See, okay, I will take your question. Is there any information provided? You were there in the previous class? You were there in the previous class? When I was teaching the single stage? Be honest. Okay, so what did I tell? Suppose you were getting the single stage problem you are solving. You get point M here, right? Now single stage, you know that you need a tie line. How do you draw a tie line from M? No information is provided. How do you draw a tie line in M? Single stage, if you have understood, you know that for a single stage problem, if this is given or you locate M, then you have to draw a tie line, yes or no? So how do you draw? Roughly by guess. Roughly by guess, no mathematical expressions. So from point M, you draw a tie line by guess. I really tend to like the question Shoumik asked and now Onik is asking. These are practical problems. If you think very carefully, these are the problems you will encounter. So everybody understands, right? That everybody got carried away and said or kept on saying yes to my whatever I was telling, right? So we look at point M and draw a tie line. But if you want to look it from an execution point of view, how do you draw the tie line? You draw the tie line by guess, right? So that is clear to everyone, and Onik to you also. So if that you can draw by guess, now your system or problem has changed that you have a point over here, E1. Now, every point over here, any point on the dome, will have a matching equilibrium composition. So, or any point, just 4 tie lines are given does not mean the system has 4 tie lines. There will be a tie line, right? which has one of its extremity at E1. So how do you draw a tie line? You draw a tie line again by guess. Clear, Anik? I'm perfectly okay with this question. Draw a tie line from E1 by please don't crash. Some of you should remind me after some time to save it. Draw a tie line from E1 by guess, by looking at the slope of the tie line above and below. Is it clear? Clear to everyone? Okay, coming back. So we have now got point E2. We have got point E2. What next? And anybody has any questions in here? So how did the process start? Process started by joining points E1 and F and S and R and P and extending the two lines. They have met at delta R, right? Now what we have done, we have now constructed a tie line from point E1, which gives us point R1. Now based on the difference equation that delta R is also equal to R1 minus E2, we understand that a line passing through delta R and R1 will the third point on that line where it intersects the dome is going to be E2. So we have now drawn a line from delta R, which or we join delta R and R1 and extend it to get point E2. This is clear to all, I hope. And if this is clear, what is the next stage? Odrija, what is the next stage? Samira, what is the next stage? Varun, Rishis, both the Rishis. Shomik. Find R2. How? Locating R2, Samira, how? So why don't you say tie line from E2? Correct. You now draw a tie line from E2. So Bhavna and all others like Samira, Shayan, why are you giving a half-hearted answer? Just next thing is to draw the tie line from E2, right? Draw the tie line from E2. Let that be here. So that is going to be which point? Tie line from E2 is going to be, the other end is going to give point R2. So this is not X2, Varun. Tie line from E2 and this gives R2. What next? Join delta R2 to get X3. Join delta R2 to get E3. Clear? No, not parallel. Certainly not parallel, Samira. So when you are, see, two things. Certainly not parallel. So how did I draw this tie line over here? So I saw that, okay, here the gap is more, here the gap is less. So some proportionally, it's this particular thing, there is no way of doing anything mathematically. It's going to be a little bit of guesswork. So if you have tie lines like this, If you have tie lines like this and want to draw a tie line in between, you simply have to draw something like this. Is it clear? Samira, clear? Okay. So this is the way to go about, and each of these lines you join from delta R are what? Third stage. So you keep on repeating it till for some point the other extremity of the tie line goes below XNP. That is when you need to stop. Now I will stop for a while and allow all of you to recapitulate and understand what has gone in. So you get a tie line somewhere whose extremity is below the XNP, then you know that is the last stage. Is it clear? As I was telling, it's a very heavy class today. Is it clear? Is this construction clear to all of you? Online semester, offline semester, maybe I would have given a problem like this. Online semester, very unlikely that I will give a problem because I do not know whether everybody has access to a printer, this and that. But this is the crux of how you solve a continuous counterflow using a triangular graph. Class, kindly confirm that you have understood, and if you have any doubt, kindly raise your objection also. Several of you are not responding despite repeatedly calling. Ayush Iron, is it clear? Abhishek Purohit, Adarsh Kumar, Aditya Jha, Aman Kedia, Chinmay Jain, Bhagavati, Gaurav Jha, Jay, Kushal Jagdish, Akshay Agarwal, Muskan. Okay. Even if you understand, let us accept that this is one of the most cumbersome constructions. You might have understood it conceptually, but let us accept this is one of the most cumbersome constructions. So there is a slightly better way of doing things or locating the stages, and that is using an XY plot. So we will see how to do that. But for that, before the Okay. So now, having understood this rather complicated construction, let us try to identify some means by which we can simplify it. First thing you see that all these points we are joining delta R, they actually correlate F and E1, R1 and E2, R2 and E3, and stuff like that, right? So if you look into the equation, what is R1 and E2? R1 and E2 is the compositions between two stages. R2 and E3 are compositions between two stages, right? Is that clear? So what we need to understand that the tie line connects the R1 X1 or X1 Y1, Y2 X2, right? So this is connected by the tie line. And these are connected by the difference line. This is clear to all? This is clear to all? Okay. So now let's say that after, so what I am doing here is now what we are doing is okay. This will also clarify one very interesting concept for all of you, which few of your friends who visited me actually had. Okay. So as usual, we locate these points, and after that, we locate the difference point. So now the class knows how to locate the difference point. We join E1 and F. We join E1 and F, and we also join S and RNP. Extend it, we get the difference point, right? But after drawing the difference, so other thing is this from this tie line data or from this dome, can we generate an equilibrium plot, X versus Y plot? Question is, if the dome is given, can we convert it or can we obtain YE versus XR plot from it? The answer is yes, we can, because all these tie lines, if you look at their endpoints, you have an Y1, X1. So from here, you can generate a Y versus X or an X versus Y data. You can even, we had long discussion on how to construct makeshift tie lines. You can draw some makeshift tie lines, right? And can generate this data. Is this clear to all? And maybe on a X versus Y plot, we can locate the data. Something like this we can do. See if it is clear to all of you. So this is now my equilibrium plot. Right, on an XY scale. Is it clear to all? Is it similar to the XY plot you have drawn for distillation? Is it similar to the XY, X versus Y plot you drawn for distillation? Bhavna, why do you say it's no? Very good. And the X and Y, Odrija, I'm a little surprised that you said yes, sir. The X and Y here are both liquids. In contrast, in distillation, right, we had one as vapor phase, one as liquid phase. Okay. There, when you were drawing an XY plot for distillation, you were essentially losing that each point was at different temperature. Similarly, what you are missing out here is the A and B composition of each point. That you are missing out, right? So you converted the data into an XY format there. You lost out the information of temperature. Here you convert the dome into an XY data. You lose out the information about the exact composition of the points. Is it clear? Here in the triangular plot, when you locate any of the points, its full composition is known. However, when you draw this plot, right, The full composition of each of the point is not known. Is it clear to all? Apart from the fact that we had a rather long discussion towards the end of the previous day's class, that here X and Y both represent liquid phases. Clear to everyone? Is it clear? Next, we do something interesting. Instead of following and drawing tie line from point Y1, etc., following the regular convention, what we now do is we draw a few random lines from the point delta. We draw a few random lines from the point delta. Okay. So please follow me carefully as you have been doing. Well, a very good class. We now draw some random lines from delta R. And we rely on the fact that each one of these lines, or we rely on the fact that delta R is equal to Rn minus 1 minus En. That we have shown somewhere over here. This is an extremely important concept. Rn minus 1 minus En. So essentially, it connects the raffinate and the extract composition between two phases. It connects the raffinate and the extract composition between relation between the raffinate and extract composition between two stages. This is clear to all? So let's say from these lines, we identify where these lines intersect the domes. Right? We identify the points where these random lines intersect the dome. And we generate an x1 versus y1, x2 versus y2, x3 versus y3, x4 versus y4 type data. How many data sets you will get? You will get as many number of random lines you have drawn. Check for a minute. Is it clear to all? Is it clear? The large number of people who are silent, is it clear? And I know today's class is a heavy class. So these x1, y1 are the edges of the random lines. Nothing to do with tie line, not tie line. So now let's say we spot these lines also, right? And join. What line is this? Anyone? Samira, hold on for a minute. Let your other friends catch up. Anyone? If we join these points, what line do we get? Okay, let me ask a question. When you solved the distillation column thing, you all drew an operating line equation. You got an equation of an operating line? Yes or no? Pathetic condition. How many of you remember the functional form of operating line? Operating line's equation was yn plus 1 equal to some factor, God knows what some factor, xn plus something. So what is yn plus 1? Yn plus 1 is the vapor coming from the n plus first stage, and xn is the liquid coming from the nth stage, right? And in a distillation column, every stage is called an equilibrium stage. You have done it in your mass transfer 1, and you will need it in your process equipment design. So again, we know that on a tray, Yn and Xn are in equilibrium. Right? And you had the equation of operating line? Yes or no? People, please respond. So this is the function. I have forgotten the expression of operating line. If anybody remembers, you can suggest me. What are those feed, replugs, this, that I have completely forgotten. R into something, something is there, which I have forgotten. Right? But this was the functional form of the operating line. Yes or no? Yes or no? Varun Balakrishna, Rishi Aravar, Adrija, Shomik. So what is an operating line? This is what you have drawn. This is your operating line. This is your equilibrium line. And you have drawn the stages like this. Yes or no? This you remember? This was the operating line, right? Hmm? So can you please look into this figure? Now the equation, now look into the equation of the operating line and tell me the physical significance of the operating line. Padamsi, you know, you are doing something on petroleum, right? So you know what is the physical significance of operating line? Jyotiraditya, this is bad. I told Samira not to utter. Now you are cracking it. So Jyotiraditya, Samira, and who else? Vardhan. These three dropped by in my office and I explained to them what is an operating line. Yeah, Vardhan, how can I forget you? You were almost running away. Of course, that is another thing. After seeing that notice that no meeting without appointment, it was only because of Samira you could enter, because she could overcome that activation barrier and knock, right? Okay, so now that Jyotiraditya has cracked the code, look carefully, all of you, and I'm really sorry that this concept has not gone to your head before. What is an operating line? Operating line actually connects or correlates the vapor and the liquid composition between the two stages. Is it clear? If you see this, what is yn plus 1 and xn? This is the composition of the vapor and liquid between the two stages. These are not at equilibrium. And if you look at the equation of the operating line, that is exactly what it connects. Is this clear to everyone now? Please relook operating line with renewed vigor and new interest. Adrija, are you there? Is it clear? You see, what is operating line doing? Operating line is actually a mathematical relation between the composition, right? The vapor composition and the liquid composition between the two stages. This is not an equilibrium composition. These are not at equilibrium, right? So one can argue, Jyotiraditya has written it very nicely, so I can copy it from the chat box and paste it. Mathematically, what is operating line? Operating line is the locus of all possible combinations or relations between the liquid and the vapor for distillation between two stages. I repeat, it is the locus of all possible combinations of liquid and vapor between two stages for a given distillation column or given scenario of reflux, blah, 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 feed composition, etc., etc. Is it clear to all? This is, I understand, I was clear talking to three of your friends that you have never tried to understand an operating line from this perspective. Is it clear? So operating line is just not like an operator goes and draws a line. It is a line with huge significance. So please do understand that a tie line gives the composition on a stage, and an operating line gives the interrelation between the compositions between two stages. Is it clear? And now I should also tell all of you when the term operating line was first uttered to the class, right? Why none of you asked whoever was teaching, what does an operating line mean? So see, education is not really taking notes, mugging something, getting grades. It is actually all about your ability, developing your ability of asking the right question. Is it clear or has it gone over the head? Clear with others? There is also another very small thing. I told these three, so I should tell all of you. The way you have learned that for a distillation column, this is the first stage, this is the second stage, this is the third stage, this is the fourth stage, right? Yes or no? This is the McCabe-Thely method. What is there on a stage? Stage is an equilibrium stage. So on a stage or over a stage, there is equilibrium between the liquid and the vapor composition. But look very carefully that if you are saying this is our second stage, in this stage, actually the equilibrium is established only at this point. At other points, the X and Y are not in equilibrium. X and Y are not in equilibrium. So please don't go and tell anybody, because then you will fail in Grand Viva, that's guaranteed. But being a knowledgeable class, you should understand that though in every standard textbook, it is taught that this whole horizontal line is a stage. What is the reality? What is the reality? Ah, Samira, good. What is the reality? Shayan Maiti, what is the reality? Varun Balakrishna, Shomik, Padrija? No, it's not non-equilibrium to equilibrium. The horizontal line is more of a pictorial convention. Actually, the end point of the horizontal line, where it intersects the equilibrium point, equilibrium line, is the stage. Though you learn as chemical engineers, this is very, very conventional, very classic, that each horizontal line is a stage. But please do understand that over this horizontal line, you have a variation of Y and X. And none of these compositions, other than the composition at the point of intersection, they are at equilibrium. So in reality, though even I will be telling this is a stage, this is a stage, in reality, we understand only the point where the horizontal line intersects, right? The horizontal line intersects the equilibrium curve is the stage. Is it clear to the class? Or is it heavy? Are you not understanding? So Shomik, Varun, is it clear? If you understand things, you realize that, okay, yeah, it's an equilibrium stage. And my whole horizontal line does not represent equilibrium. It is only where the horizontal line intersects the equilibrium point, that is where equilibrium is there, and therefore only that is actually the stage. Padrija, is it clear? Crystal clear? And the class now understands what is operating line? Adamsi, you understand? Chavi, you understand? Chinmay, you understand? Aman, you understand? Siddhant, you understand? What is an operating line? Operating line is essentially the relation of composition of the vapor phase and the liquid phase between two stages. Okay? Is it clear to all? If now that is clear to all, now kindly draw your attention to these x1 and y1, x2 and y2, x3 and y3. What are these? These are the edges of the random lines drawn from delta, right? But what are these? What are these? Any random line drawn from delta is of the form, not operating line, Udrija. These are, so this line, so you people have now got a little carried away and given an answer. So this line or curve, whatever we have obtained by joining these points is the operating line or operative curve. Distillation, since there is an assumption, yeah, Samira, x1, y2, but one can stay in a very simple terms that this is actually the relation between the extract and the raffinate phase between the two stages. So these are the relation or potential composition of the extract and raffinate between two stages. Is that clear to all? So these are all these x1 versus y1, x1, y1, x2, y2, x3, y3, x4, y4 are of the form Rn minus 1 minus En, right? So they are of the form xn minus 1 and yn. What is xn minus 1 and yn? It can be like y3 and x2. So y3 and x2 are, yeah, so y3 and x2 are here. Rn minus 1 and En, y3 and x2, x1 and y2. So these are essentially the compositions, right? Relation between the composition of the extract and the raffinate between two phases. So each of the point is the relation between the possible combination or possible compositions of the extract and the raffinate between two phases. Is this clear to all? So by drawing these random lines and by analyzing or obtaining the edges, what have we obtained? We have obtained the operating line or the operating curve. We sometimes call it the operating curve just because it's not a straight line. Very heavy this class is turning out. So is it now clear? So now we suddenly see that we have an equilibrium set of equilibrium, we have an equilibrium curve or equilibrium plot, and we also have an operating curve. Is it clear to all of you? We can also say the first and last plots points of this curve. The first one is y1 xf, right? And the last one is ys xnp, right? Because these are also two lines. These are not the random lines, but these are also two lines which are drawn from delta R. Yes? So what next? Just do this. And you get the stages. Stage 1. This is stage 2. This is stage 3. Instead of drawing or joining and drawing a tie line at every point, then joining delta R with the other end of the tie line, you can neatly locate your stages by converting the dome into an equilibrium plot and drawing some random plots, random lines from delta R and generating, right? Generating the operating curve. Is it clear to all of you? Maybe my humble request is kindly go through today's notes with your own notes or Treble's book or whatever resource you have today. This is not the easiest of the things. So while the class confirms, let us check what we have learned. So this is the counter current multi-stage extraction unit, right? This is the overall balance, and from the overall balance we write the difference equation. Then we take an intermediate balance of an intermediate section, and we get a generalized form of the difference equation, which is like this, right? And from there, first thing is locating these points. And the most important thing is that you locate, first is very easy. You locate all the points, X and P is known, so join X and P and M, extend it, the other side gives you E1. And once that is known, your next stage is to locate the, so after all these 4 points have been obtained, your next stage is to locate the difference point. So how do you get the difference point? You get the difference point by joining E1 F1, E1 F and extend it, and also join S R and P and extend it, right? X R and P and extend it. So this way you get the difference point, right? So once we get the difference point, then I have taught you 2 approaches. One approach is to solve the problem only using the triangular plot. So after you have located the difference point, you locate a tie line passing through E1. That the other end of the tie line will give you R1. Then join delta R and R1, extend it. That will give you E2 and so on, right? So first you, so this is to get the difference point. Delta R is called the difference point. So first thing what we do, draw tie line. From E1, get R1, join delta R, R1, extend, get E2. And the cascade continues like this. Once you understand it, understanding is not difficult. Drawing it is difficult. Understanding is easy. Then once you get an E2, you will fall into the loop. Draw a tie line from E2, get R2, join delta R, R2 to get E3, and so on. I hope it is clear to everyone by now, right? So this is like a huge thing. It's not easy, definitely not easy. So what we understand that even if we understand this fully, the construction becomes really clumsy. And here, so the stages are like each of the tie lines. So stages are each of the tie lines as usual. but you have too many lines. You not only, so if there are 5 stages, you will actually be having 10 lines within that zone. Why? 5 tie lines and 5 of these operating lines, lines corresponding to the operating line, or the essentially joining the raffinate side of the tie line to the delta R and extend it to get the next stage extract composition, right? So what we thought is to, so these are like backup slide. Maybe I will shift it before to the end. This is not a main text slide. So this is a backup slide, and this is also a backup slide on distillation. Right? So the other approach is that we locate the delta R point, then draw some random lines, random lines from delta R, okay? And simultaneously what we also do, from the dome and the tie line, we convert the triangular plot into an X versus Y or XR versus YE type equilibrium plot, where we understand that this plot looks very similar to the distillation XY diagram, but there we had a vapor and a liquid at different temperatures. Bhavna, very good that you said no, all others were saying yes. And here everything is at a constant temperature, but different compositions. That information is lost. And here, more importantly, the doubt Adrija had in the previous class, that though we are writing Y and X, right? Here we have 2 liquids. So Adrija, I hope today you understand why we write Y and X. Otherwise, in this graph, it would have looked an X versus X plot, and bookkeeping would have been very, very difficult, right? And so then what we do, we draw some random lines from the point delta R, and we make a table of the edges of that line. And now, based on the physics, the knowledge of physics of operating line, that operating line essentially gives the relation between the extract and the raffinate in this particular case between the 2 stages. So once we locate these points on the graph and join them, we essentially get operating curve, and then essentially we follow the approach of McAbthely to locate the number of stages. This is what we actually learned today, but probably we learned a little bit detail, developed a little bit of an understanding on what is operating line also. So I will stop here. I hope there are no doubts, but there should be doubts actually. If you are following the class, there should be doubts. So kindly go through this. You won't lose more than 2 marks for not understanding this probably. But trust it from me, trust it. Many of your seniors tell that even they are in top consultancy firm, their knowledge suddenly when they have to encounter something related to triangular plot, everybody gets very surprised that they know it to perfection. Only just 2 days back, somebody messaged me. So anyway, thank you very much for joining, and I hope you enjoyed the class. It was a real heavy class. This is one of the class which defines the strength of mass transfer 2 as a subject. Thank you very much.